in Sunshine, where the Knights host Green Gully. It's 5 points each way in terms of the ladder currently. The Knights at the bottom of the summit. Green Gully looking to apply pressure and get within touching distance of a very late finals berth campaign. Adam Palombi and Lachlan Avil on the call tonight from the beautiful commentary box here at Topset Stadium. Lachlan, we're in for what should be a decent contest tonight.
Good evening, Adam. Yes, hello everybody at home, in for a fascinating night of NPL Men's Victoria football as the teams are set to start tonight. Of course, Melbourne Knights sitting at the foot of the table in 14th and Green Gully in 8th. Both have different objectives. For the Knights, it's to climb outside of the relegation zone, and for Gully, it's to make it inside the top 6 to play finals football. The task to recover is 5 points for both of these sides for their respective aims. And a win tonight with not much time left in the season is pivotal for both as we kick off here, and Melbourne Knights will get us underway. Adam.
It's been a difficult season for the Knights, although it started brightly, plagued with injury. Different regimes, the club not exactly having a lot of cohesion. It's not known to them, considering they've been such a storied club throughout their history. And you fully expect them, with the weeks that remain in the men's competition, to really shake up the bottom 3 and begin their great escape. It would have to start soon, you feel, though. And as soon as, well, hopefully tonight, from a Knights perspective, we might look, Lachlan, at their starting 11 this evening.
One change for the Melbourne Knights side that drew 2-2 with fellow relegation battlers Port Melbourne last week. Stefan Lawless goes out and in comes Mark Pithiriotis. As Green Gully will stay with play just briefly as a cross goes into the box to Abdallah on the far corner. Cuts inside the left foot, the early shot, and it's a good save from Gabriel Matty, who is the number 1 who starts in goals for the Melbourne Knights. Number 2, Ben Carrigan. Number 4, Alex Hurd. Number 7, Leo Mazzi. Number 8, Steve Whites. Number 9, Kieran Bramwell. Number 11, Fraser Dunlop. Number 12, Dion Nicolaides. Number 17, we mentioned, is the inclusion. Number 18, Jack Morton. And 21, Tom Werndl.
Get to Gully's lineup after this corner, which is whipped in with real shape to the back post. Bouncing ball. Cleared quickly by out of the Melbourne Knights. So very decent attempt on goal from Abdallah. Even better save by Marty in between the sticks. Of course, Mir Abdallah, real tantalising player. In comparison to last season, by his own standards, you might argue, hasn't really hit the same heights yet, but of course had some injury concerns throughout the course of 2025. But when he's present and playing, certainly always look towards what he can do on the right flank. We might get into Gully's lineup now, Lachlan.
3 changes from the side that drew 0-0 against Dandenong City. That's 2 consecutive 0-0 draws for Green Gully in the league. Number 1, Liam Driscoll, is the goalkeeper in charge of defending the sticks. Number 4, Morris Nugent. Number 5, Jalil Raguj. Number 6, Matthew Crooks. Number 10, Gianluca Iannucci. Number 16, Josh Hope. Number 17, Casper Halam. Number 19, Jacob Eliopoulos, who is in line here with his start, is his 100th in NPL Victoria. Number 24, Amir Abdallah. And number 25, Aloni Kilfi.
So that's the state of affairs for both sets of playing groups here in Sunshine. The floodlights to our right weren't turned on only moments before kick-off, but they seem to be up and shining now. Decent turnout also in the Mark Viduka Lounge. Many enjoying the warmth in which that provides. As the Knights look to just hold possession. Werndl, first time pass by Nicolaides, goes a freight. Regausch. Iliopoulos. The methodical approach currently from Gully, who've had a topsy-turvy season. Of course, many picked them to really challenge, you'd say, Lachlan, the top six, considering the signings they made in the off-season at the back end of last year. And well, they are within touching distance. It's lucky for us that we have a real contest here tonight with the 3 points. Really, if they go either way, can certainly paint a different narrative as we close in what's been a very quick season.
Yeah, it has flown by, and of course, for some of these teams competing in NPL Victoria, it doesn't end at the end of the regular season. There's finals football, Australia Cup action, and of course Australian Championship action to follow, which it will end up making it an extremely lengthy season. Green Gully, as you say, the marquee signing of Amir Abdallah in the off-season, the gold medal winner from the 2024 campaign. The expectations would have been high to break in to the top six. They haven't quite managed it so far, but as we put it at the start of this game, both clubs, for different reasons, a little bit off the pace of where they need to be. As we see here, the run down the wing, Iannucci, the ball comes in, and that is absolutely clattered into the side of the head of the Melbourne Knights defender. And play will immediately stop as we do for these head injuries.
Jeez, he really wore that the night. And Lachlan, things seem to happen when you're on a call in the NPL Victoria, dare I say, multi-universe. Is that how we coined it last time out?
Yes, well, I've had plenty going on. I've been very fortunate in the past few weeks. Alex Sikorowski and I have witnessed both St Albans 2-0 early start against Heidelberg to stop their winning run, their club record winning run, and Melbourne Victory's fantastic performance last week against the reigning champions Oakley. As a long ball is good to find Hurd.
Competed Hurd, the ball just bouncing away from him, was quickly caught upon by Gully, who are backtracking quickly. Always a lot to love about the NPL Victoria, both the men's and women's competitions. There's been too many moments to really think about so far in both respective seasons, although we look back to the last time these two sides had faced off in 2025. It was at Green Gully Reserve. It was a 3-0 victory for Gully. All the goals coming in the second half with Josh Hope, Lockett and Iannucci to round out quite the performance. The Knights having to flip the script second time around. Nicolaitis urged to shoot by the crowd. Marzis with the cross. Head of the way by Green Gully, although the Knights' threat hasn't evaded yet. Nicolaitis, short throw. Can find space for Knights to try work in. Clearance from Gully will trickle down broadcast side. Hallam wanting to latch on. Hurd clears long. Deft touch from Petheritis. Gully so far just being able to nullify the Knights and have possession. The officials in charge deem that a free kick. Wine. Regauche. Iliopoulos. Mir Abdallah. Heavy touch, and play falters out for the Knights, who very early days, of course, Lachlan, but haven't started too poorly.
No, they haven't. And it will be interesting to see how they go about this match. Of course, there's been a lot of changes off the field recently for Melbourne Knights. John Markovski, the coach, who, of course, wore this strip as a player. He's back in the coach's box and he's been playing around with his team a little bit, Adam, early on in his tenure. We've seen different variations of formations, some different interchanging player lineups. They just got to find a way. That's the thing for Melbourne Knights towards the back end of this season. They're a long way off the pace, 5 points for safety, and they just have to find a way.
Got to appreciate that from a new manager. Just wanting to experiment and hope something works. How desperately those in red need it too quickly. Iannucci trying to unlock some space out wide for Hope. Crooks steps in beyond of Marzis. Try work the left flank now. Gully, lovely backheel to unlock an opportunity. Inside the box they go. Abdallah was the target they were trying to pick out. Very slick movement in the combination. It was Keifel who came a long way. Cook. Gully. Although Hurd will have a throw in. Told to go back by that of Morton, which Hurd listened to. Now Werndl. Marzis. Abdallah backtracking. Marzis going solo. A lot of confidence with Leo Marzis on the edge of the box. Trying to have the ball in a string and run at pace. That's what he's known to do. Leo Marzis, of course, formerly of Celtic. Meanwhile, whistle never sounded, and Gully have an opportunity with Hope, who's inside the box. The Knights fans adamant, Lachlan, something was ill in the build-up. Hurd caught in possession. But I tell you, it was a brief moment of anticipation that surrounded that call that never came.
Yeah, Knights defender Ben Carrigan multitasking between his recovering run and in conversation with the referee. Strongly felt there was a foul. Referee, by the way, is Bailey Panuto in charge of this game. It's little moments like that they have to be aware. And to be fair, it was a good recovery run from Knights, who now do break forward. And it's a shot from Bramwell that never quite challenged the target.
Gully just lacklustre in possession for a brief moment, which allowed for Kieran Bramwell to try find one of his own. Not able that time around. From the number 9, of course. A few striking options with the Knights. Though injury has played Kane Shepherd, the second all-time leading goal scorer of Heidelberg United, who made his way across. Played in World Cup football for the Knights in the off-season. Injury just crippling quite the storied veteran. Abdallah. Crooks. Not around Nicolades. Mir Abdallah. Trying to shift gears, combining with Hope. Wine. Keifel with Hurd. The Knights fans having their voice heard. His throw was quick on towards White. Although a turnover in play and a real opportunity might open up here. Abdallah stretched. Well, Lachlan, when you're in that range, you feel as if you should pull the trigger.
Yeah, it's a really poor turnover from Melbourne Knights, giving the ball into Casper Hallam, who it's not often you find yourself in these situations with so much space inside the opposition's penalty box. The ball to Abdallah was there, just a little bit overweighted. Just didn't allow him. The use of Amir Abdallah is going to be interesting in this match. Green Gully are missing out on Scott Lockett, who's played all 18 games so far this season due to yellow card suspension in advanced midfield. So trying to cope with that gap in their team, they appear to have moved Josh Hope a little bit deeper from his position where he's usually been playing. And Hallam up forward is a little bit of a shake, and Abdallah clearly has a lot of license to move infield at different moments and create some options with Crooks overlapping on the right. So a little bit of a change in these forward areas for Green Gully that they're going to have to adapt to in this game.
8 goals so far for the season from Mir Abdallah. Got to keep a firm eye on him each time he's playing. So tantalising. Lovely ball there. Down the line now for Hope. Abdallah with that licence to roam. Crooks believed he was offside, hence he never ran to try and latch onto the ball. Werndel's clearance gives possession back to Gully. So slightly a case of both sides just feeling each other out in these opening intervals here. Nothing really transpiring yet, although Gully have had a couple of chances. Marty was called upon early. Iannucci, lovely ball in behind. The idea was at least. And now the keeper is completely outside of his box. It was Crooks. But a penalty, I believe, has been called. Well, the official played advantage, Lachlan, or goal kick it's going to be. But you heard the Knights fans there thinking as if it was going to be a penalty. That just caught us all by surprise.
Well, the ball goes in. It's a brilliant ball from Iannucci. The goalkeeper gets there first in Matty. I'm quite surprised the referee hasn't blown for a foul because he appeared to have the ball first. Wow, that's a big moment.
And, well, the official's done us no favours there, considering he's pointed practically right at the spot from the position he was standing in. Evidently not a penalty, although it initially looking like such. And the way you heard the Knights fans react, straight away you thought, well, this only could mean one thing.
Yeah, well, with the fortune of the replay, we can see that Matty does get to the ball first. And a shout for something, absolutely, whenever players go to ground. The club fans love to get involved. But if anything, probably the ball going outside.
Just keeping an eye on the reaction of Leo Marzis with the official just in front of us on broadcast side. He was convinced also that might have been what was awarded. So thankfully, we're not the only ones that might have got that twisted upside down. Credit to Gully, they've certainly had a lot of possession in the engine room and inside the final thirds. Just having that touch of class with Abdallah and Hope linking up. A lot of overlapping runs from Crooks and Wine to provide lateral support. Seems to help, although the man we mentioned in Wine is currently just being looked at by his physio.
I think while we have just a little bit of time to take our breaths after an exhilarating moment, I think it's clear to see that Green Gully, they've started well and clearly using this right-hand side to really, really good advantage. The number 6, Matthew Crooks, the nominal right-back, is getting much further up the field than his left-back partner, who is currently receiving treatment. And it's that right side with Abdallah floating in and out of different spaces, the right-back overlapping. Josh Hope dropping deep into different opportunities as well, as Gully will just drop a little bit deeper until they get back to 11 players where they are now.
One quick back up on his feet, hurt. Back here will open things up for Knights momentarily, although that's a no-nonsense clearance by Ragosh. Keifel trying to start the counter charge. In support was Hope. Though Morton competed firmly. Still there was White, rather. Just grazes his hand, and although the jeers, Gully with a free kick. Crooks. Heliopolis for Ragaush. Hurd heads away. Dunlop trying to progress on the right flank. Keifel Wins the ball back momentarily. White searching for Marzis. It's a lovely ball to find Leo Marzis, who earns a corner. That was crafty from the attacker.
Well, slight little bit of discussion between the central referee and his assistant, but a corner is awarded. As you say, a great ball through to Leo Marzi. As Knights with a rare foray forward in the first 20 minutes of this game. Two hands up as the attackers gather at the far post and make their runs. It's a good ball into the far post, only parried away slightly, and Marzi on the volley rockets it into the crossbar. The danger's not away yet. As it falls to the feet of Marzi again, who gets tripped up, and Gully will clear and look to break forward. They have good numbers. Green Gully moving forward, 2-on-2. Abdallah free on the right. He's found, but just not quite in front. And the ball over the top is knocked around. Shouts of handball. And the goal is in the back of the net, but the referee's flag is up. It will not count. A frantic 30 seconds going from end to end.
Certainly was, considering at one end, Marzi's striking the crossbar. And he's on defensive duties here to prevent a corner, in which he does just. So frantic passage of play. Gully looked to get forward quickly on the counter-attack. Although they had scored, the flag had gone up. And from that, the Knights tried to formulate a counter-punch of their own, and it just hadn't seemed to work, which nearly culminated in a Gully corner. So a bit going on in the last few minutes. We've played 21 so far. Scores level. Abdallah. Nicolaides with the foul. Another chance now for the visitors to manufacture something. It's a brilliant strike from Marzis, though, wasn't it, Lachlan? It was hit so sweetly off the volley. The crossbar was rattling for some time. Considering his own story. Still looking to make noise and prove he's a player of high calibre. Well, of course, it's game by game really in form, but that would have meant the world to him and the Knights, I'm sure.
Yeah, yet to score a goal this season, Leo Marzi. And didn't he go close? As we're having another break in play for a Green Gully injury. I believe it's Josh Hope. Melbourne Knights fans keen to get this game going. But especially given, Adam, just the momentum of the first 20 minutes pretty firmly in Green Gully's favour. It would have just been that blow against the run of play that would have given Melbourne Knights a much wanted advantage. But as the flow of the game has gone, it wasn't long until they were on the defensive side.
Think back to, of course, when they first met this season, it was a cagey opening half. The floodgates opened in favour of Gully. So you wonder if that's to occur again and be a case of deja vu. Of course, if Marzis was to score, there'd be no way that could have happened. He was encouraged by the crowd, although it's fallen silent here at Topset Stadium as Hallam looks as if his night has all been wrapped up. Lachlan, you've caught something here.
Yeah, I was mistaken. It was Hallam rather than Hope that's gone down, but we can see that a substitution is being prepared on the far side. And unfortunately, within 24 minutes of this game, Hallam's night is done. He came into the team this week. It felt like this was his opportunity. As not Avenel, where are we? Green Gully will set for their free kick.
Abdallah crosses in nicely. Oh my word, what's happened there from the Knights? It's a gift for Green Gully. Regauge simply had to readjust his feet from point-blank range, and it's the visitors who strike first.
Well, and the clearly choreographed celebration from Gully is probably just reward for the opening 25 minutes. Just like the Knights, the ball comes in from Abdallah. It's headed off the defensive wall, straight into the crossbar. And as you say, Regauge was waiting, didn't have to do much to tap it away, and it's Green Gully in their charge for finals football, who have the advantage 25 minutes in at Tomset Park.
Watching this back, the cross was fantastic from Abdallah. A Knights player had nodded it on. It strikes the crossbar. It's just so unfortunate, really, for the hosts. It's a real manager-murderer goal, really, to concede. As Marty had to go quickly. Iannucci now up to just fire a warning shot, but it whistles wide. It must be stated right now, the Knights really looking panicky. That goal has certainly rattled any defensive force field, but that being considered, Marty rather just unable to utilise his footwork there to pick out a teammate. It's just a real calamity goal to concede.
Yeah, and of course, to some extent, you do create your own luck. The ball from Abdallah was quality, right in that corridor where defenders and goalkeepers not quite 100% clear on whose role it is to deal with the ball, and it leads to a bit of confusion. And here's Abdallah in behind again. He has to deal with an area ball, but it's cleared away well. The Melbourne Knights will look to build forward, and it's a different game for them now, Adam.
On the back foot, in need of a response. And can they find one here on this attack? Stepping inside, chance now. Danger not averted yet. Driscoll with the palm away. The Knights really biting down on the gum shield and throwing a counter punch to get themselves on level terms in this one. It was Dunlop who fired. Driscoll with a reaction save. His handling helped him there. Gully just to avoid any blemishes at the minute. And their keeper standing tall. Eliopoulos headed on. Hurd. Front of his own for Dunlop. Keifel has the ball bounce off that of Dunlop. Protests heavy. Knights throw. Carrigan. Werndl. Carrigan. Marzis, lovely touch. Dispossessed that time around was Petherotis. Now Abdallah controls the ball nicely. Iannucci has options wide. Herb with a nice backtrack to prevent that from happening. First touch for the substitute. Imanzi. Bramwell trying to press. Iannucci flicks it on for Crooks. Well crafted. Iannucci back with Crooks. Opportunity for Gully to hit two. Abdallah screams in frustration. He knew that ball was poised for him, yet he just wasn't able to latch on.
Yeah, and we see there the value of that overlapping right back. Matthew Crooks is making his impact far up the field in this game so far, as well as very dutifully covering his defensive responsibilities. We see here as well Iannucci on the ball. He's been shifted a little further forward since the substitution as the ball from Crooks comes in. And it's done well. Hurd not quite cleared away, but recovered well by Matty.
Header just grazing the forehead of Hope. He never really got genuine connection. Slides away, and as Lachlan mentions, Hurd with a nice recovery. He's on an overlapping run here, Hurd. It's a great ball from Bramwell to find that option. The cross might just work. Chance for the Knights, which goes over the crossbar. Petherotis had the chance, and it all stemmed from that of Hurd, who was deep in his defensive half. He made a great overlapping run. He took the gamble, which Bramwell found superbly with a first-time pass. His cross came in, although the shot from his teammate Petherotis just up high and not very handsome, but positive signs for the Knights. Hopes flick on. Keifel not able to get there. Marty will use the full length of his box and will hoof it long. Caught upon was the captain momentarily. Had to clear under some pressure. Back with Werndl. Carrigan.
As the Green Gully skipper, Jacob Eliopoulos, watches that ball over his head into the safety of his keeper. Key game for him. He's only just returned from a serious knee injury. We can still see the strapping on that right knee of the central defender. Of course, as we mentioned in the off as well, 100th game in NPL football, which is a very impressive milestone for any player. So far going quite well, as I say, he makes a progressive pass straight into his teammate, Maurice Nugent.
Commentator's curse, just always going to be a fluent thing, no matter where you're calling. Hurd, it's been lively from his full-back position. That pass won't work that time around. Crooks. Eliopoulos. Regaush. Lovely ball over the top for Iannucci. The flag stays down. Gully with an opportunity to find their second. Iannucci steps inside. Werndl with the block. The danger not completely averted yet. Iannucci trying to get a little bit too fancy perhaps. Imanzi rekindles. Lachlan, major opportunity again for the visitors.
Yeah, and it's the crucial part of that is the timing of the run from Iannucci. Had Hurd and Carrigan absolutely on toast. As we see Hope on the ball just in the right wing.
Still looking to get busy. Gully, Abdallah, reverse pass, wanted it back. Takes a stumble, sits on the ball. Mir Abdallah. Back heels for Crooks. Moves still there for the Gully. Lovely cross in. Hurd heads away. Imanzi. It's with Bramwell momentarily. Eliopoulos. Abdallah. Crooks. Fullbacks from both sides on the overlapping foray tonight. Cross to the back sticks. A good one too. Chance here. Overrunning the opportunity was Iannucci. But yet still the Knights to get the danger averted completely. Abdallah, his shot blocked by Iannucci, who's had a rather comical couple of interventions there.
Well, as Knights move forward, Spathiriotis cutting inside on the right foot. He's earned himself some space, but it's well blocked away. Green Gully, it must be said, one of the things they have done well in the last 5 minutes is get in the way of passes, both theirs and off the boot of Melbourne Knights. But just from that passage of play, Adam, we can see the quality that Amir Abdallah is imparting on this game. It's just the left-footed ball from absolute distance was put on a plate for Iannucci. And the ball across the face, the chemistry just wasn't quite there for the tap home of the second goal.
Very crafty player, of course. Iannucci, although in that moment in time, getting involved for the wrong reasons, he would have capped off a brilliant team move. He was on the receiving end of that cross, which was just behind him. Although when Abdallah had a shot in frustration, Iannucci had blocked involuntarily. Sensing blood, though, perhaps. The visitors have been very impressive with their overall play. Though they're looking at their bench again, because they might have a player just down at the moment, and they've got someone perhaps warming up. It looks as if, and if it's the case, quite a sad one to state, but it looks as if Eliopoulos is on the deck. bear in mind, we've said it that many times before because we have to, considering he returned for his 100th appearance tonight, yet the centenarian seems to be slow to get back up on his feet. And well, he will have a conversation with his manager. Would be one of him staying on or having a spell off. So we're all keeping a firm eye on Gully's captain, who wants to come back on. For the meantime, the Knights have an extra player. Lasted a mere 2 seconds.
As Knights move forward here, it's a good ball over the top. And the cross is off the mark from Bramwell. But I also fancy Amir Abdallah has just taken advantage of that little break and play. He's been fiddling around with his boots for a little while. I don't know if he's playing with the socks, perhaps the insoles of his boots there. He definitely hasn't changed them. Well, I mean, if that first 25, 30 minutes from Abdallah was not quite with the adequate footwear, if I was a Melbourne Knights supporter, I'd be wary of what's to come.
He's got magic in his boots. Amir Abdallah. It's been really menacing so far tonight. Goes the way of Knights. Hurd's throw. It's flowed this opening half, must be said. Hasn't really stagnated from a neutral perspective. Opportunities at both ends, although Marti lofted for Nicolades and he wasn't able to control. Gully back in possession. Been worthy of a 2-goal lead. The visitors, it's simply a case if they can find one before the cusp of half time. Iliopoulos back up on his feet. Regauge. Iliopoulos. Lofting ball for Crooks, who is offside.
Interestingly, though, as the teams will reset, Iliopoulos come back. He was playing in that centre of that 3, at least when Crooks was making his marauding runs forward. He shifted over to the right side now. And we'll have to keep an eye on him. Obviously 10 minutes to go until half-time. Seems to be struggling just a little bit with that knee.
Marti. Nicolades. Nice touch this time around. White has a glance. Goes back to Marti. Inucci with a heavy press. Marti. Finds Dunlop. Who goes down. Knights ball. They're in no rush, Melbourne Knights, to get play reignited. Hurd down the line. Bramwell's header to Regauge, his counterpart. Hope with a very hopeful touch. Might have worked to his advantage. Carrigan unable to clear. Gully trying to lock in the Melbourne Knights. Force a mistake which would lead to a goal scoring opportunity. Hurd. Flicked away the header. It was by out of Wine. Crooks. Inucci the idea. Imanzi took charge. Hope. Lovely touch. Inucci. Got over ambitious.
And we talked about how Gully will set up with this three at the back on the ball. And usually it has been, as we've commented on frequently, Matthew Crooks on the right side bombing forward. Just showing a little bit of versatility. Declan Wine on the left side has that ability to get forwards as well. I fancy just with this move for Eliopoulos, with just that knee, you're obviously responsible as the centre defensive player, as it was cleaned up well by Driscoll, to make a lot of those progressive passes. And if you're not quite 100% in those legs, and you can't have the confidence 100%, then moving Ragoge into that position seems like a good idea.
Quick glimpse around the grounds currently. Dandy City against Altona. It's the hosts in Dandenong who have a 2-goal lead. Still have the fixtures, of course, of Hume City and Heidelberg to transpire, along with the St Albans Dynamo and Oakley clash. At Churchill Reserve, Iannucci was very late. Well, Knights are adamant that should have been something more. You heard the thud from the two players colliding up here in our broadcast position.
Yeah, well, it's clear kind of studs up challenge from Iannucci has gone into a standing foot. I think for me, just looking at this replay is a little bit hard to tell. I think it's low enough where a yellow card is satisfying. But obviously you see a play go down like that, you understand the calls.
The Knights crying out for something in their favour before the half-time break. Carrigan trying to thread it forward. Hurd with another throw. He's had a fair few tonight. Dunlop out of play. Yeah, Marzis hasn't really had the ball travel towards the left flank. Dunlop's been trying to get busy. The Knights trying to find cohesion in attack. Hurd heads on. Bramwell. Morton. Marzis gets the foul. So a chance. 3.5 minutes remaining. The Knights going to throw some tall timber inside the box. You can see Hurd just signalling to his centre-back duo of both Wernthal and Carrigan to get inside the box for this opportunity. Bit central to cross. Hurd's unmarked. Natural diagonal ball towards White. Head of the way by Gully. Trying to get a counter-attack. If they can, Hope. Lovely shift of direction. Abdallah on for the pass. Hope with his forward run. Amir Abdallah steps inside. Around one, around two. Still there for them to strike. Coming a long way was Nugent to get the shot away. Takes a deflection on its journey. Corner kick for the Gully.
And we can see this up and down risk versus reward that Melbourne Knights are playing here. As soon as that free kick was given down in their attacking side, John Markowski was very quick to send his tall defenders forward. I think recognising that set pieces probably will play a role. Of course, that was how they earned their first good opportunity as well of the second phase. But the counter of that is that it allows space in behind, and the backing run of Abdallah was brutal.
Cross with thrill shape. Flung in. Regauge's header was poised to beat Marty, although it takes a flick on its journey towards the Knights goalkeeper, and Gully will try this all over again. Abdallah waves away the short option provided by Nugent. Abdallah's cross to the back post, unmarked to Green Gully. They head it back in. The bicycle was the audacious. We've seen that in recent weeks across NPL Victoria action. Think back to last Sunday at Lakeside, Max McCullough. Starting a trend, maybe. Nearly saw it again here tonight, although the whistle was in the official's mouth. Never sounded in Munzi. Continued play. Heliopoulos, Regauge. Nicolaides amidst the floodlights, heads away. Regulation time nearly at its conclusion. There could be a fair chunk of stoppage. Abdallah tries to thread it in behind. Still with it was Abdallah. The official telling the number 24 to get going. Imanzi and Bramwell competing for possession right in the middle of the park. Back with the substitute, who holds possession nicely. Lachlan added time not too far away. There's a fair chunk of football still to be played.
Yep, 5 minutes, it appears, on the board that will be risen very shortly by the fourth official. And really, by the way this game has flowed in the last 10 minutes, this is Green Gully's opportunity to get another on the board before the break. Melbourne Knights, we've seen a couple of times, Markovski on the sideline, furious that when they're winning the ball back in those deep midfield or even defensive areas, just unable to find anyone further forward of the ball, and allows the build-up of pressure from Green Gully to keep building.
Bramwell. Regauge was in fiercely. Stepping away was Dunlop. Gets, well, taken down off the ball, and you can see the Knights bench in unison just get animated. Game's not on their terms, although that pass much not the same. Inucci forced the turnover, and the finish was brilliant from Hope. Struck sweetly on the cusp of half-time. It's Green Gully with a 2-goal lead.
Well, for all the pressure that they've built up in the last 10 minutes, Green Gully, it's a really poor Melbourne Knights error that has allowed this goal. Once again, Markovski furious. It's one of these situations that's built up 3 or 4 times in the last 5 minutes, completely unable to clear their lines. And when the ball found its way from Iannucci to Josh Hope, it was a simple finish into the right-hand corner of the goal that gives Green Gully a 2-0 lead heading into the break.
Fantastic finish from the attacker. Lots of composure. Lots of precision. And the result remained the same. Iannucci had done really well to get the ball back. And there's no worse time, dare I say, Lachlan, to concede right on the cusp of half-time, although the Knights will try a very quick counter-response. It's Petheritis who shot it directly in towards his opponent, Hurd for Marzis. Ball bouncing. Lofting ball for Nicolaides. Cross comes in. Very inviting ball. Dare I say, that's where, Lachlan, you need the likes of Kane Shepherd or Darcy Atanasovsky to be on the end of that cross that's been flung in with such intent.
Yeah, well, you bring up the likes of a Kane Shepherd. I mean, there's no other way to put it. He's a big loss. 68 goals in this league, over 174 appearances. He's a goal scorer. And we know that Melbourne Knights, one thing that they have especially struggled with this season is scoring goals. And it appears they will have another set piece as we edge towards the halftime break. They have to take advantage. And look, yeah, a goal that's taken quickly by Knights. The ball comes in, but it's well shepherded away, and Green Gully will clear. And it just feels like another one of those moments that the Knights have not taken full advantage of.
Aimless from Hurd. He acknowledges that wasn't the idea. By raising his arm in a more apologetic way. Considering, of course, it's 3 up, 3 down automatically. The Knights really, at this stage of the season, of course, still a lot of football to play, but That being said, they have to try turn their season around sooner than later. They'll have 45 minutes left here tonight. Let's try to get it back on their terms. Wernzel, long for Hurd. Iannucci tried the Trevella pass, in which had worked. Carrigan goes down. Last knockings of this opening half. Marty told to take. Quick look around the grounds, and well, the Magic have clawed one back against Dandy City. 2-1 the score. And Heidelberg, within the opening 5 minutes, have a 1-0 lead against Hume City. Out in Hume, so a bit going on at the minute. St Albans and Oakley has started 5 minutes in, scores remaining level, as you'd almost expect them to. Hurd had to be very careful. Imanzi, Iannucci takes a stutter. Releases wide for Abdallah. Nicolaides with the last touch of this opening half, in which Green Gully have been rather efficient within. 2 goals to speak of. Regauge with the first, Hope with the second. It's all for the Knights to do in the next 45 minutes that follow. Lachlan, your analysis on if they can turn it around.
Well, football is a wonderful, unpredictable game, Adam. It's been mistakes at moments that have cost the Knights, and the pressure that Green Gully has been able to place upon them that is...
833. Blue 833, if you are around, please come up to the media box.
They should have announced 2 points beforehand.
Blue 833.
That ticket never got stopped.
Blue 833. Blue 833. Blue 833, please come up to the media box. For the second prize, we're going to draw for the second prize. Still waiting for Blue 833 to come up to the media box. 3, 2, 1. Here we go. We have Orange C70. Ticket Orange C70. Orange C70. Please come up to the media box to claim the prize. Media box to claim the prize. Blue 833, Orange C70, please come up.
to bring you through the second half. The visitors making all the noise in the first. Quite simply, as we mentioned, Lachlan, they will need a firm response to the hosts.
Absolutely, Adam. Hello to everyone back at home. Welcome to the second half of football here at Thomson Stadium. And the Knights, just given the context of this season, if this game is played earlier, it's a different picture. The Knights have to win. There is not many games left in this NPL Victoria season. We are in round 19. Of course, the Knights had that washout against Oakley Cannons 2 rounds ago, so there is a little bit of catching up to do. But when you're bottom of the table, every opportunity matters, and they've got to give it absolutely everything to try and claw something back in this match against Green Gully.
Imanzi draws the foul. Gully quickly back with possession following a free kick. Ball forward by goal scorer Regauge. Hurd. Happy to clear his lines. In terms of the half-time stats, the Knights with 8 fouls, Gully with 4. 9 shots on goal from Gully, 6 from the Knights. 5 corners, evenly shared. 2 for the hosts and 3 for the visitors. Stats looking rather even despite the scoreline. Bramwell, Abdallah backtracking, gets possession and shifts wide with intent. Iannucci tries a backheel. It's going to reach out of his teammate arriving in Wine, who's earned a corner. It was a lovely backheel from Iannucci and had the travel too.
Yeah, it did. Nice little piece of ingenuity to win the corner for Gully. You've read through those stats, and when they do appear even, I don't think that's the true story of how that first half played out. The pressure that Gully built on was immense, and that's not quite represented as the cross comes in. Falls to the ground. There are shouts potentially of a handball. Waved away. They've got to be careful here, Gully, as the Knights mounting on the pressure.
Mars in support was Dunlop, and they were trying to steal the ball that was bouncing right inside the centre circle. Mars was in an acre of space if the ball had rolled his way. Mati rolls for Wernthal. Both sides unchanged this second half so far. Carrigan, Mati under a bit of pressure. Sliding was Iannucci. Dunlop, Hurd trying to force it further down the flank. Trying to find Pethoritis. Meanwhile, Marzis with intent in the edge of the box. Fires a shot which hits Crooks, and he runs straight to the corner there, Marzis. He wants to take it quickly. Abdallah stopped the short, and Marzis just raises his hand to say, we'll call for some pause. Carrigan and White arrive in the box. How's the cross from the Melbourne Knights? It's flung in with real loft. Regauge had to head away, the same end he scored from. Hurd lofts it very high. It's an inviting ball. And it was a brilliant chance for Kieran Bramwell to claw one back.
Well, instantly, in the first 5 minutes of this half, much better from Melbourne Knights. They've got out on the wings quickly in transition. We saw Marzi have a good little run on the outside. Winning duels, that little bit of fight, winning your 50-50s. It's going to be an essential part of this second half. And they've got to show the fight. When you're in a relegation scrap, you need these moments. You need players. You need leaders to stand up in the moments that matter.
As for Bramwell this season, 5 goals in 17 appearances. Iannucci on for hope. Touch was very heavy. And he wasn't happy with it, considering he sent the ball completely away from Marty. The match official getting some love by some people just situated on this side as he kicked the ball back towards Marty. He won't be on goal kick obligations. He'll give and go with Carrigan. Wernzel. White. Marzis. Shifting into the centre. Munzi came across with a double team. Nugent there in support. And the ball forward in the end from Crooks.
He's having a little word, is Marzi, to the referee. Complains he was halted illegally. The ball goes right to Hurd, who was on the open space as well for Marzi if he got his head up. There was acreage on the right as Melbourne Knights are working the ball quite well. Hurd deep into the box. And gathered well and cleared away by Gully.
In that passage, of course, Marzis and Hurd being mentioned, and both combined on broadcast side. Hurd once more. Dunlop. Carrigan. White back to Carrigan. To Werndl. Carrigan. Lofting to no avail. Clearance will turn out to be from Gully, courtesy of Keifel. Bramwell coming deeper to get in possession. Nicolaides. Central. Morton. Threading it through. Chance now for the Knights in Munzi. Legally uses his body well. Meanwhile, Iannucci, lovely drop of the shoulder. He's a lone soldier streaming forward for Gully. Iannucci strikes. It's the side of the net. Marty was confident. They would have looked a little bit awkward. His angles weren't covered right there.
Well, the drop of the shoulder so effective. None of his teammates were too close behind to provide support as he took on the solo shot from range. Didn't have many other options, it must be said. But he's been nifty so far as Knights get in behind. It's with Petheridiotis. He cuts it back. And it's a wonderful save off the feet. But the play's not dead. The ball is scattered. And finally it is away. As the yellow card is going to be brandished again. That was a deadly chance for Louis Mazzies. My mistake. It was Kieran Bramwell. Or is it he who's going in with the foul at him?
Bramwell into the book. It was Marzis. My apologies, Lachlan had it right the first time. Marzis had the shot, and then once the keeper of Driscoll made the save, ricocheted right back onto Leo Marzis' head. And from there, it was a scramble. It did get very scattery indeed. Driscoll remains on the deck, although, of course, so does a Green Gully player. Genuine chance, though, for the Knights. Was a brilliant lofted diagonal pass to unlock the opportunity for Leo Marzis. Wasn't able to convert that time around. It was a decent save by the keeper, who's getting some attention. That of Driscoll. Must be said, though, the Knights with some belief in this opening 8.5 minutes in the second half. They've certainly come with a much more structured approach.
Yeah, they have. The footballs look good. And straight away, it seems like they may have received a little bit of a rev up from John Markovski at half-time. The fight does appear to be there. They're coming out with real intent. And obviously, Adam, you have to toe that line between discipline and energy and physicality. Bramwell into the book. But they're moving the ball well. Lots of quick changes on attack. And it appears, unfortunately, there's going to be a change in the Green Gully goal. Liam Driscoll, the referee, is given the universal winding of the fingers to the bench. The assistant's flag goes up. And unfortunately, it appears that save onto the foot, which did come at great pace, has caused him some difficulty. Now, he does appear to be walking off the field with relative ease at him. But a goalkeeper substitution when you're trying to protect a lead is never an ideal thing.
Well, there's a first, really. Haven't seen that in some time. From a personal perspective, never, with my own two eyes, had an NPL game, but, well, it's happened here. Goalkeeping change has been made. Just wonder the well-being of Driscoll. That's what's transpired here. So you just wonder what's happened there for the change to be made. He did walk off. Of course, being jeered by the Knights fans. Rather comical, but not to be repeated what was being said. Play resumes, getting rather physical out there. Meanwhile, Gully hit the deck, get a free kick in a very promising position. It was Crooks who ends the foul. And, well, we're trying to investigate the name of the goalkeeper. That's come on for Green Gully. We believe it's Thomas Favero who's got the duties tonight. I wonder if that can play into the favour of the hosts, although looking here, Mir Abdallah and Iannucci having quite the conversation about where this free kick can go. Abdallah is within his range, quite the set piece specialist. What we've seen time in, time out across the competition. The angle might be improbable. Abdallah fancies it, can't get over the wall, out for a corner. He just knew, Lockie, he was going to give it a crack.
Well, with the intensity and flair that he played the first 45 minutes with, you can understand why. We saw a couple of really good seething balls from deep as well from Abdallah. No surprise really why he's on set piece duty for Green Gully, and he'll get another opportunity from this corner.
Gully sensing their third blow, crossed in, was a really fizzed ball from Abdallah. The effort, the spectacular! Simply out of this world from Gianluca Iannucci off the volley, sweet as a plum. You cannot find a goal across the world better than that right now.
Absolutely sensational from Iannucci. The ball's come down with moon dust settled all around it. And it's precision rather than power from Gianluca Iannucci over the head of Gabriel Matti into the far corner of the goal. He placed it absolutely perfectly.
Forget about any other goal entrant that you might see this week across the men's competition. Firmly in pole position, you'd assume, for goal of the round. Might even be in contention for goal of the year. We've seen so many crackers in the men's competition this season. The Max Mikula bicycle, the Rabonas from obscure angles from victory players. There's too many moments to really particulise and, well, just zone in on, but from Iannucci, that's simply an outrage. As he's taken it on, Lachlan, you thought there's no way he's going to give it a crack the way in which he did. And once it all settled and the ball was struck so sweetly and the net was caressed, there's a moment in which I'm sure everybody from Gully and the neutrals alike will savour.
And how often do we see a ball like that that is just played with way too much power, not enough control, and never really giving yourself a chance? Iannucci, he had to have his eyes up looking at the ball for so long. It's a wonder that he knew where the goal was. But it's an amazing sense of play and just the poise and composure to play the perfect weight and the arc on the ball into the back of the net. It's an astounding goal.
Certainly a player in which has swagger. That'll be a goal in which I'm sure will be at the very top of his highlight reel. 3-0 are the Gully. They've saved their best for their most recent. One of the greater NPL goals we've seen. And there's no signs of slowing down from the side in blue. Iannucci. Carrigan got in the way. Just can't seem, Lachlan, to be completely honest with you, to remain composed after that absolute brilliant goal. It was such a special thing.
And just a little bit is a moment of those sliding doors. Obviously we saw, there's no argument, Green Gully had the better of the first 45, but don't forget that the Melbourne Knights were the first to strike the woodwork of the Green Gully goal. And if that is just a few feet in a different direction, that's 1-0 and the game changes completely. And it's been the Melbourne Knights here who have started this second 45, the better team. But Green Gully are the one that take their opportunity when it comes. Well, we say opportunity, you can't even really consider it an opportunity, can you? But Iannucci, he makes it count. And all of a sudden, Melbourne Knights, who looked so bright at the start of this half, have it all to do.
Deja vu. Looking as if it's going to re-emerge on different territory between these two sides. And the benches have been called upon. John Markovski wanting to roll the dice early. He's got a couple of players warmed up. He threads a ball that was not active right towards the throw-in taken. Marzis stepping inside, dispatching. It's Morton from downtown. Draws a corner. The binoculars required to see who's on the end of this double change for the Knights. Knights trying to get around that of Favero, who's got his first task for the evening now. The substitute goalkeeper. Not exactly well equipped for height, although has a lot of tall players around him. Cross comes in for the Knights. Head of the way. Marzis was waiting for it. Fault is back to Hurd. Lofting ball. Gully try to clear their lines. Imanzi had it for that of Keifel. Hurd trying to loft it with a tease over the top. Nicoladis trying to progress. His overlapping run is there. He's still going. Following up was the fullback still. Out of play he goes, and perhaps the time for the substitutions to occur.
Two changes for John Markovski's side. Number 17, Mark Petheriotis, is coming out of the game and will be replaced by Darcy Anastovsky. And number 22, Masatu Chiba, coming on for Fraser Dunlop. There's not much time left in this NPL victorious season to play around. The Knights need points. And a 3-0 deficit is what stands in their way of that objective tonight. But Markovski throwing everything they've got at that objective at him.
See if the substitutes can have any impact. Imanzi was very high there with his foot. The Knights will protest. And in the book goes their captain out of white. Well, the Knights got to tread water lightly considering they're against it already. Got to just remain that touch more disciplined. If there's any percentage left in keeping themselves in the game. They've made the double changes. So now if they can have any impact. The bounce not favouring Hurd, who was arriving on that flank. Carrigan instructing his teammates of Werndl and White to try lock in Gully. The hosts, Valiant, are going to roll the risk of holding a high line. Try and get just something back on the scoreboard. Clearance goes afray. And now an opportunity for Nicoladis. Urged to shoot by the crowd, steps inside. Deflects out for a corner. Well, if that's an indication how the Knights are going to try fight in this one, a shred of optimism for the hosts.
And hopefully what we're in for, Adam, is an entertaining final 25 minutes. As the corner comes in, into the mixer, it's James Hurd who rises. And it goes out for another corner. And they'll reset and go again. Abdallah quick to mark over just from the short pass.
Flung in with real intent this time. Hit off the line practically. And Astovsky took a shot in the dark. Marzis threw his boot at it. Chance still remains for the hosts. Trying to get busy, perhaps, was Lawless. Imanzi. Free kick goes the other way. You can see the intensity, Lachlan. It's really lifted for the Melbourne Knights right now.
Yeah, tensions are heightening. The pressure is building. It's a sense of urgency, probably, Adam, that we haven't quite seen. They did come out of the blocks hard. I guess it's good for us. This kind of all-or-nothing brand. It's White over the free kick. It's ended up at the far post. It's going to be deflected out from a corner. Kieran Bramwell couldn't quite find the path back to inside the 6-yard box.
It's a bold strategy, but you would have loved to have seen it perhaps at the end of the first half. White's cross. Hurd's header was inviting. Danger not averted yet. Favero leading the protests for the Gully. Captain White will try again. Cross comes into the back post this time. Werndl's header off the crossbar. Still there, Anastovsky for Marzis. Cards being issued everywhere for Knights players protesting. The officials weren't exactly sure. Morton goes in the book. Not sure what to make of that, Lockie.
Well, in the sequence of 2 or 3 corners we had there, I think both teams were pretty confident they had a call go against them. As those corners and goal kicks at them, sometimes they're pretty hard to spot from the referee. You're never going to get them all right. But of course, the tension on the line in this game, emotions are high. From Jack Morton, goes into the referee's notebook.
Carrigan gets it rolling for Werndl. Regardless of the scoreline, there's something in the air here around Sunshine. Nicolaitis somehow barnstorming his way forward. Isolated on the wing. Marzis trying to step around Crooks. Teasing ball inside the box. Now go the Knights. Cross comes in for Bramwell. Inucci forced to clear. White will recycle. Marzis crosses in. Regauge heads away. Look how quick the Gully side are to flood back and just try to get themselves back in possession, or can they start a counter charge? Carrigan and Hope coming across. Goes the way of the Knights, who wanted something a bit more. White. Nicolaitis. Marzis drops the shoulder. Anastovsky wanting to try to get his shot away, perhaps. The striker off the bench. Now Abdallah can go for a stroll. He's on his own in this counter charge. Might not need the cavalry. Abdallah. He goes down. He's told by the official to get up.
And this is going to be a different test for Green Gully. They've been pushed back in the last 5 minutes much more than they have at any other point in this game. And you're 3 goals up, you have to close it out responsibly. Of course, we've been talking about the importance of this for the Knights being at the bottom of the table, but for a Green Gully side, that are chasing finals football, this 3 points is just as valuable. And they can close that gap to a minimum of 2. As the ball over the top to Wine is a good one. Who throws in? He finds the ball at the far post. It is Josh Hope arriving at the perfect moment. And again, Melbourne Knights impart their pressure on this game of football, and it's Green Gully going the other way that make the impact on the scoreboard.
The theme has been sliding doors moments, and I think there's no more of a sliding doors moment than what we've just seen there. The Knights, well, for a brief passage, had really asserted themselves in this contest despite the score being firmly against them. The counter punch over the top from Gully was superbly executed. Hope finds his brace, and they've hit 4 goals to 0. And while it's not really gone the way in which they intended, perhaps for the Knights, but dare I say, Lockie, they were looking really good in that passage. They were playing with ambition and they weren't restricting themselves.
Yeah, it's just brutal. But that's football, isn't it? It's about moments. It's about putting the ball in the back of the net. As we see, though, they have another foray forward to the likes of the substitute, and the ball comes in. It's well grabbed by Favero at the near post, but Chiba putting himself amongst it. But as we say, it's just the momentum swings in this game. Twice now, Melbourne Knights have just felt like they've been able to grapple their way into the contest. But the dagger blow of Green Gully on 2 occasions has wrestled back.
And bear in mind, they had hit the crossbar from a corner. So imagine that's, well, goal turnaround if it went the other way. What could have transpired. Chiba has come on also. You can see Hurd now pushing further up the flank. Of course, was a winger in his youth days. Over the top, Marzis. Casual was Iliopoulos to take the ball away from him. Another opportunity on the attack. Crooks, Umanzi. The Knights were swarming around. Another substitute. Number 23 for Gully, who kept his feet and drew the foul again. Keifel. Wine had started that 4th goal with his great first touch, which set himself in behind. In possession now, the fullback. Keifel. Abdallah, lovely dummy. Hurd reads it well. Anastovsky wants Marzis. Iliopoulos controls with his chest. Gully having all the answers right now.
And we should, of course, praise Gully as well. As much as Knights were throwing everything at them, they were absorbing it. It must be said, with great composure. There are moments in games of football where you can't just be on the attack all the time. You have to absorb pressure and come back. As Adam, we see another substitute being prepared by the Melbourne Knights. It'll be Kieran Bramwell coming on for Stephen Lawless, who was the one exclusion from the squad that took on Port Melbourne last week. He comes into the game. But you have to say now, Adam, with probably just around 20 minutes to play, 4 goals. A very optimistic Melbourne Knights fan would think that they'll be able to come back in this one.
Not to say the die's cast, although it certainly might be now, as Hurd had to block the effort from Wine. Abdallah getting very tantalising in the final third. Have a look at the season, of course, in terms of how much football is left. We're nearing the pointy end of it. It's another opportunity not taken by the hosts. They had a game in hand, of course, over both the Port Melbourne Sharks, St Albans Saints, and even Victory, who are only a point off the automatic relegation position. The Knights 5 points away from safety, 4 points off of Dinamo's 12th place position. Altona keeping an eye on that result because it will have implications on what's going on here. A quick look at Frank Holohan reserve. But all considered, it's, if they were to win tonight, 13 points, of course, better than 10. They might have found themselves, with future games to come, perhaps a start to their escape.
And even more so to that end, Adam, this game at Green Gully, they wanted to see this as a springboard into their following fixtures. They've got Melbourne Victory and St Albans as their next two other teams that are in and around that relegation battle as well. They're going to be vitally important to the result of this Melbourne Knights season. Obviously, this Melbourne Victory side, they've got a win against Oakley to climb themselves out. As we see Liwio and Kaifel going into the book. A little professional foul there, but a loss like this going into two very important fixtures is not what you wanted.
You could see there, it was Morton. Say to the official, "You're in my way." I'm only quoting the player, of course, but Malkovsky goes to the book also, and you felt as if that was coming.
Saw Ben Carrigan very keen to get on with play. Didn't really want to wait for the referee's whistle, but he's going to be forced to.
Carrigan now gets it rolling. Nicolaitis going on an adventure. Marzis stepping inside, stepping around. Way too far now to shoot. It would simply take something from the football gods themselves for the Knights if they were to have anything taken away from this game. Carrigan's ball will work. Bramwell will try latch on. Cavero comes out. Brave goalkeeping from the assumed youngster. He throws nicely out wide for Wine. Hurd had won the ball off Iannucci, although his natural momentum had him just roll it out of play. Regauge, Eliopoulos. Quite the centenarian performance tonight from the number 19. Out to keep the clean sheet intact. Hope's chasing a hat-trick. Imanzi. Eliopoulos. Regauge. Wine, Regauge, Hope, in some space, is found in behind. Abdallah in the box. Here is Josh Hope. Might go all the way. He squared it at the death for Abdallah. They were in there for 5.
And Josh Hope just running down that left wing. His eyes were constantly gazing up, trying to find the run of Abdallah. But in the end, just lacked the conviction on the pass to make a real impact. But here he is on the left wing, skips past Hurd. The ball is taken too far away. Iannucci covers on the wing. Back to Regauge. The header from Iannucci is ineffective. And Hurd will look to progress through the centre of the field. And here's a chance for the Knights to get something back in this game. Marzi is searching for someone forward, but Gully have recovered well. And it must be said, Adam, it's been a very professional performance, it feels like, from Gully. They've gone forward when they've been afforded the opportunity, and they've sat back and absorbed pressure when required. And so far, you'd have to say, with the addition of the spectacular from Iannucci, as we'll just stay with play, as Hurd gets onto the right wing. The ball comes in the front post, and that was a chance. The flick on the near side, trying to find Melbourne Knights a goal. Just too fine. Goes out. As the final substitutes from Green Gully, well, maybe not quite the final, but 2 more at least, prepare to come onto the field.
Anastolski nearly with a deft touch. At the front post, although Just faulted wide. And while the double substitution has occurred, Nugent comes off. Abdallah lurking on that far flank, although the change, dare I say, it's Ashton Aluwalia, who's in possession with his first touches. Chiba strolling onto a loose pass. Bramwell in support. Bramwell's cross, a good one too. Such pace along the deck. Gully were able to clear, and now Abdallah can utilise some quick legs. Nicoladis in a tussle. Does well the fullback. Takes the game on. Had to go central. Anastovsky. Werndl.
We saw Marzi just with a bit of an exclamation as that another Melbourne Knights attack ended up with 0. It's another good ball in from Hurd. And we're skipping through here. The Knights, they have a chance. And it goes down and a penalty will be given. It was Stephen Lawless who danced around his defender, drew the contact, and the penalty has been given. And I think fair enough, Adam.
Certainly was. Lawless was tricky inside the box. And well, there are 9 minutes of regulation. They couldn't, could they? They'd have to score from here, obviously, if they were to, but they simply, well, you never know.
Well, of course, if you want to score 4, first you have to score the first. There isn't a lot of time left in this game. But they need this, the Knights. It's Kieran Bramwell who is lining up in front of the substitute, of course, Thomas Favero. Low down to the left. Melbourne Knights get one back. Bramwell, the goal scorer. Wearing the captain's armband. There is little time for celebration. And at least, Adam, a little bit of joy for these Melbourne Knights fans who have turned out here tonight.
They'll enjoy it, that's for sure. There's some claims from certain people down there that, and I quote, "We can win this." Time's still ticking away. Clock stops for nobody. No, you think about Gully, they won't have a clean sheet on his 100th. Eliopolis won't have that accolade to boast. Favero had gone the right way. Bramwell's pace enough to get it beyond the keeper. Consolation prize merely for the Knights as Gully now with Crooks. Inside the box. Wine, first time. It's almost the case, really, of that feeling at lunchtime soccer that X goal wins. The Knights need 3 of them. Their fans have voice, though. Got to appreciate the die-hard supporters here at Tomset Stadium. Such a club with rich history. Firmly appreciate the Knights from a neutral perspective. There's something in folklore to be instilled here tonight. Bramwell's gone a long way. Lawless trying to thread it in behind for Bramwell, causing issues with Wine. Concedes the corner. Or does he? Well, Lachlan and I are looking at each other to say, well, almost convinced that was a corner, Lachlan. I'm sure the officials have a better view than we do, but bewildered a bit there, to be frankly honest.
Yeah, a little bit confusing that, but obviously at this point in the game, it's going to be largely inconsequential. But what isn't is the stakes that Melbourne Knights find themselves at this point in the season. They're, of course, a very proud Australian Football Club, the last time, Adam, that they featured anywhere below the top tier of Victorian football was 1976, almost half a century between their days in the Victorian top flight and the National Soccer League. It would be a real changing of the guard out here at Thomset. And as we say, it's these next 2 weeks that will likely prove critical. They've got Melbourne Victory and St Albans, both fellow relegation battlers, before a little bit of a tough run against Preston and Dandenong Thunder. And of course, this transfer window that is short to open is going to play a large role in the remainder of the seasons for a lot of teams. And we'll see what the Knights can come out with in this final stretch of the season.
Lawless does get the foul. Manzi. Well, have a talking to by the official, or will he? Well, if there was a couple of goals less, maybe anticipate a very late surge as Imanzi goes into the book in his own right. The Knights are throwing everybody forward. Considering the stoppages, you really speculate how much added time there will be at the conclusion of the regulation. Werndl's delivery, open header, Bramwell. Leopoulos had to head away. It was goal bound, you know, from out of the penalty converter. Hurd quickly onto Chiba. He was influential in earning that spot kick. Hurd. Martin, currently a CDM. Werndl. Nicolaitis. Morton. Anastovsky controls off his chests. Leopoulos will clear away, and now Abdallah. And jeers from the home fans. Tries to get around Nicolaitis, but locks possession inside Green Gully's attacking half.
And similarly for Green Gully, as we look at their fixtures coming forward, almost certainly now a win against the Melbourne Knights to be followed by 4 consecutive matches at home, which will form the bedrock of their charge towards the top 6. And the first 2 games that are next up on the docket are the Altona Magic and Melbourne Victory, sitting in 10th and 11th at the moment on the NPL Victoria table. As another ball comes in, and it was the header from Keifel that drifts away for a goal kick. But just the same as the Knights will look to push for their escape to the relegation zone, Green Gully, in the next couple of weeks. This is their chance, Adam, to really cement their authenticity in their chase for finals.
They've got the ingredients. It's just a matter of if they can all taste good at the final moment. Perhaps Lockie, if you'd like to go with that sort of method of it. But they certainly have what it takes. It's just a matter of it's all going to click come the business end of the season. Well, looking at forms, of course, inside the top 6, Dante City firmly the team they'll have to try to climb around for that last spot. As Chiba, Marzes, Lawless, Chiba still going, has energy. But as you mentioned, Gully, another victory here tonight. Although for a very split-second brief moment, I thought there was a tiny shred of the absolutely folklore-writing comeback, which Bramwell had kept intact following the conversion of his penalty. Marzes. doesn't get the foul that he was after. Bramwell continued. Chiba got in his way. Imanzi, Keifel, give and go. Now Hope. Abdallah making a beeline towards the box. Lawalia for Hope. For a gouge. 3 minutes of additional time. Leopoulos on his 100th. And Abdallah, who earned the foul once more.
We see the decision from Josh Hope. He could have branched forward with speed. He could have tried to find Amir Abdallah. But probably representative of how they've played this match, Green Gully, picking their moments. Although that is a nice lofted ball in behind. The assistant referee's flag is raised. I'll tell you what, he's got a fine line here. Does Keifel. He is in the referee's book already. Can't be delaying play too much. This Hurd goes for the long-range switch of play.
Abdallah with it impeded again. In the book, another Melbourne Knights player. Might just be Nicoladis, in fact, who's been awarded a blemish of a yellow card. Wine, lovely touch. Keifel. Nice touch off a Knight's shirt. Bear in mind, no Saturday fixture across the men's NPL competition. This round, it's Preston and Avondale on Sunday the 22nd of June at Genestil Stadium. South Melbourne and Dandy Thunder at Lakeside at 5 o'clock on that same day. Victory and the Port Melbourne Sharks on Monday night at the 8:15 time slot. Meanwhile here, the post rattling. A footnote nearly added right at the conclusion of it by Gully with Keifel. Have a quick look at Frank Holohan, and well, there has been a sending off for Dandy City. They do hold on to a 1-goal lead, 2-1 the score. Heidelberg still with their 1-goal lead over Hume City. Oakley and St Albans locked in at 0-0. So we've had the highest scoring encounter, which is nearing its last few seconds. Frustration on one bench, jubilation soon to be on the other. Gully about to complete the clean slate against the Knights. It's full-time sounds at Topset Stadium. The Knights succumb to a very professional, well-oiled Green Gully Soccer Club. 4-1 the final score. Not exactly what the hosts had to do tonight, Lachlan, considering their current league position.
Yeah, a clinical performance from Green Gully tonight. Regage, the brace to Hope, and obviously the moonball screamer from Iannucci, the goal scorers. Bramwell got one back for the Melbourne Knights from the penalty spot, but consolation was all it was. And they'll have to back it up and go again next week if they want to climb out of the relegation zone. And Green Gully launch forward towards finals football, their hopes. Of course, that Dandenong City match potentially taking them a further bit away. But Annam can only beat who's in front of you.
Luckily, a lot more football remaining ahead for Knights fans to hope that their club can turn things around. Point differentiation. Of course, with that game they had in hand tonight, they couldn't seem to get back on their terms. But still, time remains. And that is time for our broadcast here tonight. Full-time score, Melbourne Knights 1, Green Gully 4. Lachlan Averill and NPLMVIC signing off. We hope you've enjoyed listening to us through the duration of this broadcast. And until next time, thank you and good night.